This conference will now be recorded.
Now, so in the previous session, we have discussed about the enhancer list view and have given that the assignments also on this enhanced list view. I hope everybody has done with those assignments. And along with that, we have discussed about the object ID or schema ID or object key prefix. Now, but already we have discussed for each and every object, Salesforce is allocating a unique identification number which contains a 3 characters alphanumerical number. For every object in Salesforce, whatever the objects has been given by Salesforce as part of Salesforce CRM application, for every object, Salesforce is allocating a 3 characters alphanumerical number that is called as object ID, that is also called as schema ID or object key prefix. So we have identified the IDs of those objects. Like for example, for the account object, we are having the ID 001. For contact 003, opportunity 006, lead 002, case 500. Like that, for each and every object, we can able to see the ID of that object. Then what is the use of this object ID? Why do we need to remember? What is the significance? What is the use of remembering these object IDs? We no need to remember all the objects IDs of Salesforce because it might be having some hundreds of objects utilizing by Salesforce CRM application in the backend. But we no need to remember all the object IDs. But these are few common objects which we are using as part of our daily activities. So what are the common objects that we are using as part of our daily activities? We need to remember these object IDs here. Why? What is the use of remembering this object ID? What is the significance of using this object IDs? Now let's see practically in this case. Now, so by using this object IDs, we have two benefits are available. Okay, we have two benefits with this object IDs. We have the below two benefits. The first one is by using this object ID, we can recognize, we can able to switch from one object to another object. By using this object ID, we can switch from one object to another object. We can jump from one object to another object in order to manage the records inside that object. So how can we switch? Okay, how can we switch? Let me show you practically. Okay, now by using this object ID, we can switch or jump from one object to another by placing the object ID inside the URL. Inside the URL, we can place that object ID and then we can able to jump to that object directly over here. Now, so now here in this case, for example, the syntax is, let me give the syntax. Generally, our URL is looking like this, HTTPS, and then it is having your server number. It may be AP16, it may be NA21, whatever, .salesforce.com/ here we can specify your object ID, to which object you would like to jump directly here. To which object you would like to jump, specify that object ID over here. Specify that object ID. For example, if you want to go to that contact object, so simply we can specify this address will be available, URL will be available as it is, like as some ap16.salesforce.com/ we can specify 003. That means what 003 means? Contact object. It will switch it to the contact object, and then it will be having that ap16.salesforce.com/ 500. It will be jumping into the case object directly. case object directly. So whenever if you want to jump to that object directly, we can able to place that object ID inside that URL. So inside the URL, we have to specify the object ID and directly we can able to jump. How to do that? Now let me show you practically in this case. I will show you the manual mechanism. I will show you by placing this object IDs also. We'll see practically now. Now, for example, let's go to your Salesforce instance. I'm having this account object. Okay, click on this account object. So now currently I'm in this account object right now. Okay, currently I'm into this account object. Now I'm using this account object right now over here. I want to go to the opportunity object. But when you click on this opportunity objects tab, okay, when I click on this opportunities tab, my mouse is not working. My mouse is not working. Then how can we do that? In this case, simply we can able to use the tab control, okay, and then we can able to go to that address bar and then specify the object ID. What is the object ID of opportunity? 006. Then press enter. Directly we can jump into opportunity object over here. Now, for example, I want to go to that campaign object. How can we go to that? Inside this address bar, in the URL, we can specify 701. When you press 701, it will go to the campaign object directly. Suppose if you want to go to that case object, simply specify the ID inside the URL 500, press enter. So we can able to directly jump into that case object also. If you want to go to that account, simply go to that address bar, specify that object ID is 001. So we can directly go to that account object here. Like that, we can able to switch. Even though without using this mouse, if the mouse is also not working, so directly we can able to go to that respective object just by placing the object ID inside the URL. By placing this object ID inside the URL, directly we can switch from one object to another object over here. Now, here let me explain one more. So now, for example, here on my tab bar, currently we are having this campaigns tab, leads tab, accounts, contacts, opportunities, cases, and solutions. These are the objects information is available on my tab bar. Now, I want to go to the order. I want to create an order record. I want to open the order object here. What we can do? But this order object is not tab is not available on the tab bar. Generally, what we can do as part of manual. So click on this plus symbol. Click on the customize my tabs button. Add this orders tab on your tab bar. Click on save. Then we can able to go to the orders tab over here. But this is a lengthy mechanism. This is a lengthy process. Generally, what we are doing, if you want to go to that order object to create an order record, we have to add that objects tab onto the tab bar. Okay, we have to add that tab onto the tab bar by click on the customize my tabs button. Then only we can click on the new button to create a new order record. But this is a lengthy mechanism. Okay, but this is a lengthy mechanism. I don't want to do that. Simply we can go to that. Whatever the object currently you are maybe. So now just you can go to that address bar, specify the order object ID. What is order object ID? 801. When you press enter, directly we can jump into the order object over here, so that we can able to create a new order record also. Even though that respective tab is not visible, not available on the tab bar, we can switch it to that object also directly. That facility is available. So now here in this case, in order to jump, in order to switch from one object to another object directly, we are going to be using this object ID. This is the first benefit. Okay, now next, the second one. By using this object ID, we can recognize the records. Okay, we can recognize the records. Okay, to identify to which object this record is associated. Okay, to which object this record is associated. Directly, we can able to recognize that here. Now, by using the object ID, we can identify. We can identify the records. We can identify the records. Now, we can identify the records. That means what? We can identify to which object this record is associated. Like for example, assume that there is a record. That record is what? Is it account record, contact record, case record, lead record, or what? How can we identify? So now if we go through the entire information of the record, then only we can understand, is it an account record, lead record, contact record, or what? We can identify. But we have to go through all the details of the record. Then only we can guess, we can understand. But sometimes I don't know the complete record here. Complete no record, I don't know. I know only the record ID. Okay, I know only the record ID. So in order to identify each and every record, okay, in order to identify each and every record, Salesforce is allocating a record. Each record, okay, for each record inside the object, Salesforce will allocate a unique identification number that is called as record ID. For every record inside the object, Salesforce will allocate a unique identification number that is called as record ID, which contains an 18 characters alphanumerical number. Object ID is 3 characters. Record ID is 18 characters. That means inside the table we are creating some record. So each record will be getting recognized. Why? Because is, for example, assume that I'm having an organization. In my organization, I'm having so many employees. So whenever we are having some group of employees inside your company, how do you recognize each and every employee? Based on the name? No. Why? Because if I'm recognizing that employee based on the name, with the same name, multiple employees may be there. We might be having some multiple employees with the same name in that organization. So at that time, it will be difficult to recognize. It will be difficult to identify each and every employee. So what we can do, we are going to be allocating a unique identification number for each and every employee that is called as employee ID. For each employee, we are allocating one unique identification number that is called as employee ID, which is a unique code for every employee. Employee names may be same, but the ID will be different. Like the similar way, here also, inside a single table, we can create multiple records also. Okay, we can create multiple records with the same details also, no problem. Okay, we can create the multiple records with the same details also, no problem. But each record will be having its own unique identification number. But each record will be having its own unique identification number. Every record will be having its own unique identification number that is called as record ID. Each record inside the object will be get identified by using a unique identification number. Identification number called as record ID. Called as record ID, which contains an 18 characters alphanumerical number. 18 characters alphanumerical number, which contains an 18 characters alphanumerical number. That means each and every record ID contains an 18 characters alphanumerical number. So this is the format following by Salesforce. Then who is allocating this ID? This ID will be allocating by Salesforce. Whenever we are creating some records, for every record, Salesforce will allocate a unique identification number. Now, here you can raise a question. Sir, suppose for example, today I have created a record. For that record, Salesforce has allocated the record ID. Suppose tomorrow I'm deleting that record. Tomorrow I'm deleting the record. I'm removing the record from my Salesforce instance permanently. So that ID will be allocating by the Salesforce to some another record? No. Once a record ID has been generated, the same ID will not be repeating by Salesforce in the entire lifetime. Okay, once a record ID has been generated, once a 18 characters number has been generated, the same number will not be repeating by the Salesforce in the entire lifetime. In future, in the entire lifetime, there is no chance that Salesforce will generate the same ID again. It won't generate that here. Now, that means what? they are going to be always generating a unique number over here. There is no chance of repeating the same number again. That's how they have generated that algorithm. So in this case, whenever we are creating a new record inside that object, for every record, Salesforce is allocating a unique identification number that is called as record ID, which contains an 18 characters alphanumerical number. So now, in this 18 characters alphanumerical number, some 3 parts are available. We are having 3 parts are available. Let me explain. So why? Because it is the notation following by Salesforce. For example, assume that everybody is having a PAN number. Okay, an income tax number here. Everybody will be having the PAN number. Who are the citizens of India? Like in this PAN number, do we have any limitations? Do we have any format? Yes, there is a format. There is a format is available. PAN number contains some 10 characters alphanumerical number. 10 characters alphanumerical number. PAN number is a 10 characters alphanumerical number over here. What it contains? The PAN number look like this. Like as this is the PAN number format here. It will be having a 10 characters alphanumerical number. It is having a 10 characters alphanumerical number. So in this case, now the first 5 will be the characters. Next 4 will be the digits. Last one will be the character. This is the PAN number format following by the Government of India. Government of India is following a PAN number format, which will be having a 10 characters alphanumerical number. From out of those 10 characters, first 5 will be the characters, next 4 will be the digits, last one will be the character. This is the PAN number format following by by the Government of India. Like the similar way, upon generating the ID for this record, Salesforce is also following a format. So now in this case here, okay, in this case, what are the 18 characters record ID is available? What are the 18 characters record ID is available? So now from this record ID, the first 3 characters. First 3 characters are represents the record object ID. First 3 characters are represents. First 3 characters represents the object ID. That means it is indicating to which object this record is associated. The first 3 characters will be representing to which object this record is associated. Like for example, assume that I'm having a vehicle number. I'm having my vehicle number is available here. So like some AP, some 29, some number is available. Okay, some number. So now tell me, this vehicle is belongs to which state registration and the Pradesh registration. Here, how do you know the first 2 characters? AP, nothing but related to Andhra Pradesh registration. Suppose, for example, I'm having the vehicle number, okay, MH, some 12, okay, 9000. So now this number, this nothing but this particular vehicle is belongs to which state? It is belongs to Maharashtra because it is having starting with MH. That means what? Starting 2 characters are indicating that to which state this is associated. Like the similar way, the first 3 characters in the record ID will be representing to which object this record is associated. Is it an account record or contact record or opportunity record or lead record or case record or any other record, any other object? To which object it is associated? Next, the remaining 18 characters. Remaining 15 characters. Remaining 15 characters will be represents the actual record ID. It represents the actual record ID here. First 3 characters are representing the object ID, which will be indicating to which object this record is associated. It is indicating to which object this record is associated. And the remaining 15 characters are representing, okay, the actual record ID, nothing but this is the ID of the record. From these 15 characters, the last 3 characters represents the checksum value. Checksum value. This checksum is also called as transaction code. Transaction code. So in this case, what are the record that we have created? For that record, Salesforce is allocating a unique identification number that is called as a record ID. So from that record ID, you will be having the total 18 characters ID will be generated by Salesforce. From that 18 characters ID, first 3 characters represents the object ID. That means to which object this record is associated. And the remaining 15 characters are representing the actual record ID. From this 15 characters, the last 3 characters are representing the checksum value that is also called as transaction code. That is also called as transaction code. Now, so now in this case, where we can see this record ID over here. Let me show you practically. Whenever you are creating a record, for example, in the previous session, we have created 2 account records here. Go to this account object, this is the record. Okay, Abhishek Tripathi. Abhishek Tripathi is the record which we have created over here. Now, for this record ID has been generated by Salesforce. Where we can see this ID, this record ID, we can see inside that URL. When you observe this URL, here you will be having the record ID. Inside this URL, we are having this record ID. Inside the URL, you will be having the record ID. This is the record ID is available. Now, so now tell me in this case. So this record is starting with what? 001. 001 means what? Account. So this record is what? Account record. That means what? We no need to look into the complete record details. In order to identify, to which object this record is associated. This record is belongs to account object or contact object or case object or what? To identify that, we no need to look into the complete record details. Just we can go to the record ID. That is sufficient. Just look into the record ID and then identify the first 3 characters. Then you can understand this record is either account record or lead record or case record or what. We can identify very easily over here. Because inside the record ID, the first 3 characters are representing the object ID to which object this record is associated. So for that reason here, inside this record ID, the first 3 characters are representing the object ID to which object this record is associated. Now, and the remaining characters are representing the actual record ID. But in this case, observe this one here. Now, let me explain one more small point which is most important. Now, this is the record ID over here. Now, tell me, this record ID is a case sensitive or case insensitive? It's a common question in the interview point of view. Whatever the record ID is generating by Salesforce, this record ID is a case sensitive ID. Okay, this record ID is a case sensitive ID. This is not case insensitive. That means exact characters we have to enter, uppercase, lowercase, exact we have to enter. Now, suppose for example, let's verify this one here. Now, inside this record ID, the last character is F. What F? Capital F here. If I'm changing it to small f, then observe what will happen. I'm changing over here. I'm changing this record ID to nothing but the capital F to small f. I'm entering small f. Press enter. Let's see. Data not available. That means what? With this ID, we don't have any records over here. Okay, with this ID, we don't have any records over. It is indicating clearly here. So now, whatever the ID has been generated by Salesforce, this record ID is purely case sensitive. It's not case sensitive. It is a case sensitive ID. Compulsorily, we have to enter the record ID in the same format. Now, so in this case, suppose if I'm entering the capital F, I'm entering capital F, press enter. Now it is showing my record over here, Abhishek Tripathi, so that whatever the ID has been generated by Salesforce, that record ID is a case sensitive ID. We have to enter the characters in the exact format, like as your password. Like as your password we have to enter in the same format because password is a case sensitive. Like the similar way, your record ID is also case sensitive ID, which is generating by Salesforce because of that security reasons. Now, in this case here, let me give you one more small point. So now observe this one. Here, this is the record ID generated by Salesforce. Now tell me how many characters are there inside this? Did you counted that? It is having that 15 characters. But you can raise the question, sir, you told that, so there is a 18 characters ID will be generating by Salesforce, but why it is showing 15 characters over here? It is showing only 15 characters, then what about the remaining 3? In this case, Salesforce is generating a 18 characters ID for each and every record, but inside the URL, inside this URL, it will display the first 15 characters ID only. Inside this URL, it will display the first 15 characters ID only. Last 3 characters will not be visible because of security reasons. Because of security reasons, last 3 characters will not be visible inside the URL. Why? Because is why? Because is if the complete record ID is visible over here, now it is indicating clearly like this is the protocol using by Salesforce for this application. This is the server in which data is available. This is belongs to Salesforce.com organization. 001 is a table. In the table, this is the ID of the record. If the hacker people know the complete information, then it is a easy for the hacker people to hack the data. That's what here, to protect that information from the unauthorized people, to protect your data from the hackers, Salesforce is not providing the complete 18 characters ID inside the URL. Okay, only the first 15 characters ID will be getting visible. Last 3 characters will not be visible to you because of the security reasons. Like for example, let me explain one more small scenario. Assume that today I went to a bank ATM center to withdraw some money. I have withdrawn some 5,000 rupees from my bank account, and then you will be getting a transaction slip. You will be getting a transaction slip. Now tell me, in the transaction slip, your complete account number is available? No. Last 3 digits will be visible, or last 4 digits will be getting visible. Remaining digits are star, 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 star like that. That means it won't show the complete bank account number because of security reasons. Suppose if you are not taking the transaction slip, if another person is taking your transaction slip, then he will do some misutilization with your account number here. For that reason, they are going to be hiding some information because of the security reasons. When you go to the credit card, you will be having last 4-digit number is visible, even though in your SMS also. The remaining 12-digit numbers will not be visible because of security reasons. Like the similar way, Salesforce is hiding the last 3 characters information from the visibility inside the URL. Only the first 15 characters will be getting visible. Last 3 characters will not be visible inside the URL because of the security reasons. Now in this case, we can raise a question. Sir, what is the guarantee to me that Salesforce is generating a 18 characters ID for this record? How do we know that record ID over here? I want the complete record ID, 18 characters ID. How can we see? How can you see the complete 18 characters ID over here? In order to see the complete 18 characters ID, we can use the developer console. We can use the developer console editor. By using this developer console editor, we can query the complete 18 characters ID of the record. We can query the complete 18 characters record ID also from the database. We can query the complete 18 characters record ID from the database. From the database, we can query the complete 18 characters ID. So in this case, whenever if you want to see the complete 18 characters ID of the record, because inside the URL, it will display only the 15 characters ID. The complete 18 characters ID will not be visible inside the URL because of security reasons. Complete 18 characters ID will not be visible inside the URL because of the security reasons. If you want to see this complete 18 characters ID, so we are going to be using this developer console editor. How can we use this developer console editor? Now let me show you over here. Now, click on your name and then expand it. Whatever the account name that we have. Now we have to go to that your name and then expand it. And then click on developer console link. Click on developer console link. Go to the developer console editor. Go to the developer console editor. Go to the tab bar and click on Query Editor tab. Go to the tab bar and click on Query Editor tab. Type the below query to fetch the records. In order to fetch the records, we can query the information. Like for example, I would like to use the select statement. Select, I want to query the ID of the record, name of the account record, rating value of the account record from account object. Because account is a table, so that I would like to query this information. And then click on execute button. Click on execute button. There we can see the complete 18 characters IDs of those records as well. That facility is available to you. So in order to see the complete 18 characters ID of your record, we are going to be using this developer console. Then how can we use this developer console? Now let me show you practically in this case. Now, so in this case, how can we see this information? Now let me show you practically in this case. Now, so now let's see here practically how can we do this one. Let's go to the Salesforce instance. You will be having your name on the top right corner. Expand this. Click on developer console link. Click on developer console link. Now the developer console editor will be getting open. One more editor will be getting open. Go to this editor and it will be loading this editor over here. This is called as the developer console editor. Inside this editor, you will be having a tab bar. In the middle of the browser, in the middle of the editor, you will be having this tab bar. This is the tab bar. In this tab bar, click on this query editor tab. This is the query editor tab. Click on this query editor tab. It is providing that a small window. It is providing a small window. Here you can type that query here. Select ID of the account record, name of the account record, rating from account. From which object you want to query? From the account table, I would like to query the data. Okay, now click on execute. Once you click on execute, it is collecting all the records from the account object. Whatever the account records are available inside this object, all the account records will be getting visible. Now, so it is going to be providing all the account record IDs, all the account record details, all the account record IDs, names, rating values it is providing here. Now from this one, when you expand this one, when you see, now you will be having our record also. What is that our record? Abhishek Tripathi. This is the record over here. So what is this record ID? This is the ID of this record over here, which is generated by Salesforce. This is the Abhishek Tripathi's record. Now I want to see this here record ID. Just double click on this one, copy. Double click on this ID, copy this one. We can't modify the record ID here. Let me place this record ID over here. I'm placing over here. Now, so this is the ID generated by Salesforce, in this which is ID available inside the URL. This is the ID generated by Salesforce inside the database here. Now tell me here we are having 15 characters, here we are having 18 characters. Last 3 characters are also getting visible inside the database. So now, whenever we are going to be querying the records, whenever you are going to be querying the data, then if you want to see the complete 18 characters ID of the record, we have to make a query to the database over here. Okay, we have to make a query to the database. We have to make a query to the database. So it is representing only the first 15 characters ID inside the URL, and the last 3 characters will not be visible inside the URL because of the security reasons. Okay, because of the security reasons, okay, it is going to be not visible in the last 3 characters inside the record. Okay, so now in this case, whenever we are going to be remembering this object ID, the first benefit is by using this object ID, just we can able to switch or jump from one object to another object directly. Just by placing the object ID inside the URL, we can switch from one object to another object. Second one, if you know these object IDs, then if you are aware of any of the record ID, then directly we can understand to which object this record is associated. Whether it is account record or contact record or lead record or case record or what record it is, we can identify very easily also here. So now here in this case, whenever we are creating a new record inside that object, for every record, Salesforce is allocating a unique identification number that is called as record ID, which contains an 18 characters alphanumerical number. Which contains an 18 characters alphanumerical number, which will be allocating by Salesforce. Now, so now from that 18 characters, first 3 characters are representing the object ID. That means it is indicating to which object this record is associated. And the next 15 characters are representing the actual record ID. And from that 15 characters, the last 3 characters are representing the checksum value. That is also called as a transaction code, which is generated by Salesforce.
Firoz,
Yes.
Like if I want to query on that record ID, which record ID I need to use, like 18 character or 15 character? Will result
Now, whenever you are querying this data from the database, it will return always 18 characters ID, not 15 characters.
But if I want to use that ID, like 15 character ID, will I get a result like from that ID?
Yes, yes. Using 15 characters ID also we can fetch the data. Like for example, assume that I know the 15 characters ID over here. This is the 15 characters ID. Okay, I'm copying from there. I want to see this record over here. I want to get this record details. Now, I'm querying this information where ID equals to, I'm passing this 15 characters ID only, not 18 characters. I'm passing simply the 15 characters ID here. We can query the details also. Execute, we can get this record information, only that record information.
Okay, thank you.
Now, we can query with the 15 characters ID also, 18 characters ID also, both. That will be supporting the Salesforce. Okay. Now here you can raise a question. I'm giving the questions on behalf of you. Suppose you can raise a question. Sir, you told that Salesforce is hiding the last 3 characters of the record ID because of security reasons. It is showing only the 15 characters ID inside the URL. Suppose if the third-party people, hacker people, okay, know the 15 characters ID, they can also query my data. Because here, by using 15 characters ID, also I'm querying that. If the hacker people know the 15 characters ID, they can also query you. But in this case, the problem is, if you are querying the data from Salesforce applications only, okay, from Salesforce application, then only we can able to use 15 characters. If the third-party applications, okay, the third-party application from Java application, the hackers are trying to be hacking your information. If the hacker people try to query the data, compulsorily they need that 18 characters ID. Within your Salesforce account, only 15 characters ID will be supported by Salesforce. If you want to query from other applications, compulsorily 18 characters ID is mandatory, or else Salesforce won't support. Okay, that is the major benefit over here. Okay, within your Salesforce application, we can query the records with the 15 characters ID. But if you want to query the data from the another applications or the other applications, like as from by using integrations, by using Java application, .NET application, mainframe, or any other third-party application, then compulsorily we need 18 characters ID of your record. That is a mandatory principle. Okay. Now, so in this case, we can able to query the records information also. Okay. This is the concept of record ID and object ID concept. Okay. So each and every object will be recognized by using object ID, which is a 3 characters alphanumerical number. Each and every record will be identified by using a 18 characters alphanumerical number, okay, which is a case sensitive. Okay, which is a case sensitive. Now, sometimes in the entry point of view, they will raise a question. We have 15 characters ID, which is visible in the URL. We have 18 characters ID inside the database. Now, which one is case sensitive? Both are case sensitive. Whatever the 15 characters ID that we have, whatever the 18 characters ID that we have, both are case sensitive. Please remember this point. It's a 100% common question in every interview. So this is a common question. What is the difference between 15 characters ID and 18 characters ID? Okay, difference between 15 characters record ID and 18 characters record ID. It's a common question in every interview. So you can explain them. Whenever I'm creating a record inside the table, Salesforce will allocate the 18 characters ID that will be storing inside the database table. But upon displaying that record in the user interface, inside this URL, it will display only the first 15 characters ID only. The first 15 characters ID only. Last 3 characters will not be visible because of security reasons. Now, this 15 characters ID is a case sensitive. 18 characters ID is also case sensitive. If you want to get the 18 characters ID, we have to go to the database. We have to make a query by using select statement. Okay, we have to make a query by using select statement to get the complete 18 characters ID. Both are case sensitive IDs. Whenever you are querying the records from your Salesforce application, then 15 characters ID is sufficient. If you want to query the data from the third-party applications, okay, then 18 characters ID is mandatory. These are the differences between 15 characters ID and 18 characters ID. Okay. Now, the next concept.
Can you give me an example of the third party one where we query the 18
Now,
character ID?
Whenever we are having some integrations, okay, upon having some integrations with some third-party applications, then compulsorily 18 characters ID is mandatory. Suppose, for example, in future, if you are integrating your Salesforce application with a Java application, if Java people wants to query your records, they have to pass completely 18 characters ID, not 15 characters. Okay. During integration, we'll see how can we pass the 18 characters ID. Based on that, how can we query the records information. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Now, so now we will see a new concept, applications. So what exactly an application? What is the use? What are the various types of applications are available in Salesforce? What is the difference between them? And how to create our own custom applications, we'll see practically. Okay, now. So first of all, we have to understand what exactly an application. What is it use? Now, let me explain. For example, assume that I want to develop a banking application. I want to develop a banking application. Okay, I want to develop a banking application. So now by using this banking application, what we can do, we can store our banking related data. Okay, we can store our banking related data. Like I want to store our branches information. As part of our bank, we have so many branches are available. but every branch will be having some different codes. Branch code is different, branch name is different, address is different, contact number is different, manager is different, like that. Now, along with that, I want to store my customer details, their transaction details, their loans information, their credit cards information, everything I want to store. So to store this information, we need some tables, right? Yes. So in order to store the application related data, in order to store the banking related data, we need some tables. So I would like to create some tables. As part of this banking application, I would like to have some tables. I would like to have some tables. So what tables we need to store that branches information? We need a branch table. That means a branch object. Table means what? Object. We need a branch object in order to store all the branches information. Because when coming to my bank, we are having so many branches. Like as in SR Nagar, 1 branch. In Hyderabad, 2 more branches. In Bangalore, 4 branches. In Mumbai, 7 branches. In Delhi, 10 branches. Like that, we are having so many branches are available. Every branch will be having a branch code or an IFSC code number or MICR code number is available. And then we'll be having the branch contact number, branch address, branch manager. Like that, it is having so many details. To store all this branches information, we need that branch object. Then how can we store this branch information? In order to store this branch details, we need some tab, right? Yes, we need a tab. What is the tab name? Branches. Okay, branches. That means branches is a tab which is providing so many user interfaces to create some records inside my branch object. Inside this table to store some records, we are using this branches tab. It is providing a tab over. By using this tab, we can create a new branch record. We can modify the existing branch details. We can remove the branch details. We can view all the branches information also. Now, as part of my bank, we are having so many branches are there. In each and every branch, some employees are working. To store all the employees information, we are having employee object. Now, next one. So now as part of my bank, we are providing so many types of accounts, like some savings account, salary account, joint account, NRI account, corporate account, like that different types of accounts. So to store all these account types information, we are having that one account type object. We have account type object over here, which will be representing all the account record types information, account types information. And then we have so many customers. So that to store all the customers information, I'm using this customer object. Each and every customer is having their own contact details. So that here we are using a contact object. Every customer is having his own credit card. So that to store this information, okay, credit card object. Every customer has applied for the loan. Here to store this loans information, I'm using loan object. Like that, here we can able to create so many objects. Then once objects are available, how can we manage the records inside this object over here? To manage the records inside this object, we need some table, right? We need some tab, right? Yes. Like as today, a new employee has been joined into my branch. So to store this employee's information, we need some user interface, right? Yes. So that we need some tab over here. So we are using this employees tab. I'm using this employees tab here. And then, so to store all the account types information, to manage this information, I need a separate tab, account types tab. And then, to manage all the customers information, I need a separate tab over here, like some customers tab. To manage all the customers contacts information, we need a separate tab, like as I'm indicating that contacts tab. Because tab names are plural, I'm indicating the plural name over here. To store all the credit card records information, to manage all this information, we are using the credit card tab. To manage all the loan records information, we need a separated tab. So I'm indicating that loans tab. Like that here, we are having so many objects as part of our application. To manage that application specific data, we are creating so many objects. To manage those records, we are going to be using the various tabs. So now in this case, by using all these tabs, we can manage our banking related information. Like you can manage your branches information, employees information, and the account types information, customers information, contacts information, credit cards information, loans information, transactions information, everything. So to manage those particular information, we are going to be using this user interfaces. These are nothing but the tabs. When you combine all these tabs, okay, that means all these user interfaces to manage your banking related data. So that here, the combination of all these tabs are called as an application. Combination of all these tabs are called as an application. Then what do you mean by an application? Application contains a collection of tabs. Application contains a group of tabs. These tabs are providing the user interfaces through which we can manage the application specific data. In order to manage that banking specific data or banking related data, now, now, so in order to get this banking related data, to manage this banking related data, then we are going to be using the various tabs which are providing some user interfaces internally. So now the combination of all these tabs are called as an application. So in this case here, now here in this case, what exactly an application? Application contains a collection of tabs, okay, which provides the various user interfaces through which we can able to manage the records in the associated application. In order to manage that application specific data, we are using the various tabs, okay, those collection of tabs are called as applications. Now, so now here in this case, what exactly an application? Application contains a collection of tabs which provides a various user interfaces to manage that application specific data. You can take any application also, banking also, finance also, insurance also, anything. To manage that banking related data, to perform your transaction, we are using so many user interfaces, right? So now those user interfaces are given by tabs over here. So that we are going to be calling the collection of tabs are called as applications. Okay. So when coming to the application is nothing but a collection of tabs which provides a collection of graphical user interfaces to be used to manage the data related to the application or business. So now, by using those tabs, by using those user interfaces, we are managing that application specific data, or business specific data, or organization specific data, or personal data, so whatever. Now, so in this case, when coming to the application contains some collection of tabs. Now, as part of these applications, in Salesforce, we have two types of applications are available. Salesforce provides two types of applications. Salesforce provides two types of applications. What are those two types of applications? First one is standard applications. Second one, custom applications. Standard applications and custom applications. We have two types of applications are available in Salesforce. First one, standard applications. Second one, custom applications. What do you mean by standard? What do you mean by custom? Standard means what? Ready-made. Okay, ready-made. Standard in the sense ready-made applications. So these are the ready-made applications which has been given by Salesforce by default. Standard applications means ready-made applications which has been given by Salesforce by default here. So what are the ready-made applications has been given by Salesforce by default? We have so many. Like where we can see that when you go to your application, here we can able to expand this. Here we can see sales application, service, marketing, app launcher, community, site.com, Salesforce starter, content. These are the various ready-made applications which has been given by Salesforce. As part of my organization, by default, Salesforce has given the various applications. Okay, those are called as standard applications. Okay, now, like for example, sales, service, marketing, app launcher, community, Salesforce starter, content. Like that. These are the various applications has been given by Salesforce by default. These are called as standard applications. These are called as standard applications. Now, in this case, you can raise a question. Sir, can I add some more features inside these applications? Yes. As part of the sales application, we have so many features. As part of service application, so many features. As part of marketing application, so many features are available. So can I extend those features? Yes. What are the standard given by Salesforce? Those we can customize. Customize means what? We can add some more additional enhancements also. We can leverage the functionalities of those applications also, okay, which have been given by Salesforce by default. So what are the standard applications has been given by Salesforce? That standard application we can customize. That means we can able to add some more additional enhancements also. Now we can raise the question, sir, for example, I don't want service application. Can I remove? No. What are the standard applications has been given by Salesforce? Those we can customize, but we can't remove. Standard applications are not removable. Only customizable. Suppose if you don't want, just you can hide it. There is an option. There is an option to hide it. That means it will not visible to you at all. Suppose in future, after some time, after 1 year, after 2 years, if you want that service application, then you can activate that again. We can able to make it visible. That facility is available. So in this case, what are the standard applications has been given by Salesforce? Those applications we can customize, but we can't remove. Standard applications are not removable. These are customizable, but these are not removable. Okay. Now you can customize the standard applications. Standard applications by adding the additional enhancements. But we can't remove the applications. But we can't remove the standard applications. But we can't remove the standard applications from the organization. We can't remove. Standard applications can be customizable, but these are not removable. Next. So now, as part of the standard applications, okay, Salesforce has given very few, almost 6 to 7 applications given by Salesforce, like sales, service, marketing, app launcher, community, Salesforce starter, content. These are the applications. Now we can raise a question, sir, I want some more. I want a banking application. I want a supermarket automation application. I want a restaurant automation application. I want an e-commerce application. I want a pharmaceutical application. Then what we can do? Can I develop? Yes, we can develop. So what are the standard applications has been given by Salesforce? If these standard applications are not suitable, if these standard applications are not sufficient for your business, if you want some more, then you can develop your own custom applications also. So whatever the standard applications has been given by Salesforce, if these standard applications are not suitable, then we can able to develop our own custom applications also. What kind of applications? Anything. Banking, finance, insurance, healthcare, manufacturing, consulting, construction, educational related, technology related, chemical related, anything, whatever you want, we can build. So by using this Salesforce instance, not only utilizing these ready-made applications given by Salesforce, we can develop our own custom applications also according to our business requirement. We can able to develop our own custom applications also. We can build our own custom applications based on the application requirement. Based on the application requirement, we can develop our own custom applications. We can develop our own custom applications based on your application requirement. What kind of applications we can develop? Like we can able to build applications like banking, finance, insurance, manufacturing, educational, pharma related, and then we can develop the technology related. Like that, whatever you want, anything, e-commerce applications, anything we can develop. That facilities available, supply chain management, e-commerce application, any kind of application we can build by using this custom applications also. Then who is developing this custom application? Custom application can be developed by either Salesforce administrator or Salesforce developer. Only the Salesforce administrator or Salesforce developer can develop their own custom applications. Now, in this case here, what are the custom applications are building right now? The custom application will be built by whom? Only the administrator or Salesforce developer, not the customers, not the end users, not the partners. Only the Salesforce administrators and the Salesforce developer can able to do that over here, not the other people. Now, so now here in this case, now, so in this case here, so what are the custom application that we have built? Suppose for example, today we are building a banking application. So after that, we'll start utilizing this application. In future, okay, in future, after some time, if you want to add some more additional enhancements for that application, can we do? Yes, because custom application is developing by whom? Administrator or the developer. That means we are the administrators, we are the developers, we are developing. If I'm developing by my own, then who is the owner? Myself. So as the owner, I will be having the full control on that. Suppose if you're having your mobile, okay, the mobile is belongs to whom? It belongs to you. So you are the owner of the mobile. You can do whatever you want with your mobile. We can able to have some calls also. We can access the internet also. We can play some games also. If the mobile is not required for you, you can throw it into the dustbin also. Because you are the owner, you have the rights. Like the similar way, here also whatever the custom applications developing by the developers, okay, that means we are the developers, we are developing, so we have the full rights. So that means what? Salesforce is giving some ready-made application like a sales, service, marketing, content, charter, like that. That is belongs to whom? To the Salesforce. So we can't do that. We can't remove those things. But if we are developing our application, then we are having the full rights. We have our own full rights on that applications which we have developed, so that here we can able to do whatever you want over here. So whatever the custom application that you have built, the custom application can be customizable as well as removable also. If it is a standard, we can customize, but we can't remove. But custom application can be customizable as well as removable also. That facility is available. Okay, now let me give them a form. You can customize. You can customize or remove the custom applications from the organization. We can customize or remove the custom applications from the organization. That facility is available. Whatever the custom applications that we have built, those custom applications we can customize or we can remove also. That facility is available. Now, in this case, you can raise a question. So how many custom applications we can develop? That it depends upon the edition. Okay, based on the edition. So Salesforce has given some limitations. Those limitations are called as governor limits. Upon developing these applications, Salesforce has given some limitations. Here, those limitations are called as governor limits. Those limitations are called as governor limits. Now, so what are the various governor limits are available over here? Now, the first one. Okay, the first one. So now, whenever we are developing the application, okay, whenever we are developing the application, if you are using the free developer edition, if you are using the free developer edition, in free developer edition, how many custom applications we can develop? We can develop maximum of 10 custom applications. We can develop maximum of 10 custom applications. We can develop maximum of 10 custom applications. In the free developer edition, that means whatever the account that we are using right now, it's a free developer account, right? In that one, we can create 10 custom applications. If it is unlimited edition, in unlimited edition, if you are using unlimited edition of Salesforce, then we can develop unlimited number of custom applications. We can develop unlimited number of custom applications. In unlimited edition, we can develop unlimited number of custom applications. That means n number of custom applications we can develop inside this. So whenever we are developing the custom applications, there are some limitations. Whatever the limitations has been given by Salesforce, those limitations are called as the governor limits. Those limitations are called as governor limits. So now, as part of this free developer edition, we can create maximum of 10 custom applications, and in unlimited edition, we can develop maximum of unlimited number of custom applications. That facility is available over. Then where we can see these applications? If you want to see these applications, then we can able to go to that setup menu, go to the build menu, click on create, click on apps. By using this navigation, we can able to see the applications whatever we have created in the past. Have we created any applications as of now? No, because we don't know how to create the application. Just now we are discussing the concept of application. So if you want to know what applications has been created in the past, I want to know. So in this case, go to the setup menu, go to the build menu in the left panel, go to the create and expand it, click on apps link, so that here we can able to see all the applications which we have created in the past. But we haven't created anything. It will show the list as empty. We'll see how to create from tomorrow onwards. Now, let me go to that navigation. Click on the setup menu on the top right corner. Go to the build menu in the left panel here. Okay, go to the build menu in the left panel. Click on create because we are creating something new. Okay, we are creating something new. So now what you want to create? I want to create application. That means apps. Okay, apps. So now click on apps link. Once you click on apps link, it will be representing that. Whatever the applications are available, all the application names will be getting visible. These are the various applications are available inside my Salesforce organization. Inside my organization, these are the applications are available. Like we have Analytics Studio, App Launcher, Community, Content, Marketing, Platform, Sales, Charter, Sample Console, Service, Site.com. These are all the applications which has been given by Salesforce by default. Now tell me, these are standard applications or custom? Standard. How do we know? Here there is a column is available over there. There is a column. There is a column called as custom. Is it a custom application or not? If it is a custom application, it will be having a tick mark over here. But tick mark is not available. That means what? These are all our standard applications. These are all our standard. In order to differentiate whether it is a standard or custom application, we are using this column over here. And this standard application, what we can do, it is having the action column here. It is indicating the action column. What we can do, only edit, nothing but customize. There is no remove option over here. Observe this one. Only edit options are available. No remove option because these are standard applications. Standard applications cannot be removable. Whatever the standard applications has been given by Salesforce, those the standard applications we can customize, but we can't remove. But custom applications can be customizable as well as removable also. That facility is available. Okay. So in this case here, whatever the standard applications are available, okay, we can't do just we can customize that, but we can't remove those standard applications. Okay. These are basic information about that applications. Tomorrow we'll see how can we create our own custom applications. We'll see practically. How to create our own custom applications, we'll see practically in tomorrow's session here.
Sir, can you also tell us different certifications?
Yeah, I will tell you that. When moving forward, I will give the information about the certifications also. Along with certification questions also I will provide to you. Don't worry. I will make you can be having that 100% pass from the certification side.
Wow.
Both advanced certification, development certification, I will give you the 100% pass done to you. Don't worry.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah.